Welcome back to the third and final video in our practical guide to running Evals. Here we're going to create a dataset and then attempt to improve the performance of our app by modifying the app and measuring whether our evaluation scores improve or not with our modification. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a dataset to work with. What we're going to do is we're going to create a dataset that is just the places where our app failed, because that's where we want to focus. So the way that you do that is I'm just looking at these completeness scores and I'm clicking on the ones where it failed. There are 6 of them, and then I can click Add to Dataset. If I don't have a dataset that I want to add it to, I can create a dataset here and then add the traces to the dataset. I can then look in datasets and experiments and I can see the dataset that I just created. The one that I'm going to be using is Python Quick Start Fails, which is the same set that I created earlier. You can see in the examples inside this dataset the exact things that I pulled in. You can see the input and the output and metadata about each one. To run an experiment on this dataset, we're going to have a very similar file to the previous two. Here's our boilerplate again, our registration again, our crew again, except we've made a change. In addition to the goal that we had in the previous ones, which was to gather up-to-date financial data, we've included some more specific instructions. Make sure to include more than one financial ratio, such as PE or PB, news from the last 6 months, and current stock prices. So this is a new version of the app. This is a better prompt that we think is going to be more successful in matching our rubrics. So otherwise, our crew art is the same. And this is the financial completeness template. This is the same LLM as a judge that we used last time. It's important that we're using the same LLM as a judge. Otherwise, we're not doing a true comparison of how the performance changed. We instantiated our LLM. We create our classification evaluator. And the thing that we do differently is instead of running our app a bunch of times to create new traces and then running it on them, we are going to pull down a data set called Python Quick Start Fails, and then we're going to run the experiment on that data set with that task and the evaluators that we gave it. So let's see what happens when we do that. The result is a single experiment listed here in this list, and you can see that the completeness score was 0.5. This is actually pretty good. If you remember, the data set consists entirely of situations where the previous version of the application failed. So now, instead of all of them failing, only half of them are failing. So we have probably improved our application. We can click through to the individual results and we can see which ones got a completeness score of 0, so they are still failing, and which ones are getting a completeness score of 1, so which ones are successful. We can then, if we wanted to, we could further iterate on our prompts and run after experiment. This is what you would be expected to do, is to run experiments over and over, and you would get a graph here of the experiments changing over time and how your performance is improving. And obviously, your goal would be steady improvement in the performance of your application. This is how you use the power of evaluations to steadily improve and optimize your application without having to vibe test everything. And that's it. Hopefully this was a useful introduction to the practical side of actually running evaluations using real code and real data. And I hope you